All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Dish with Pepper with me, Pepper Persley. I am here with Kevin Carroll, the Catalyst, who is a public speaker. And I met you at the Nike Project Play Summit, and we did an interview there, which was awesome. And so I thought you'd be perfect for this Father's Day episode. So I'm super excited to have you on.
Oh, I'm excited to spend some time with you. This will be really dope. And we had such a great rapport and energy exchange. So I was really excited when you invited me to join you on this one.
Yeah, of course. All right. So the first thing I want to ask you about is you gave me a copy of one of your books, Rules of the Red Rubber Ball, which is amazing. And everybody listening, I definitely recommend that you read it. But tell me what sparked the idea of that book and like all the intricate designs in it.
So a ball saved my life. That's what I tell people. Sports and
Mm.
play saved me. There was a playground in the neighborhood where I was being raised by my grandparents, and that made all the difference in my life. Both my parents were addicts, and they left us, and my grandparents rescued us, and they raised us as best they could. But I got raised by a community at this playground, and so the red rubber ball always represents Preston Playground, but also the first game I played at the playground was kickball. And so
Mm,
I've always loved kickball, and we had really clever ways that we played all kinds of games, and I loved sports because of that playground. But I
right.
never played sports for trophies, medals, or first place. It was always for belonging. And so the
Mm.
red rubber ball, anytime I see that or I see kids at play, I instantly think of Preston Playground and I think about belonging. I love being part of a team because of Preston Playground and the red rubber ball.
Yeah, I love that too because obviously, like I play a lot of sports, and at least for like AU sports, it's a lot of the time about winning. So something that like I try to do to keep myself grounded because obviously like that is the goal of the game, but it's not the most important part, right? And I like really only play team sports, so I think being a part of a team is definitely something that's always been really important for me. So I love that.
Absolutely. I think a big
Yeah.
part of what I've always taken away from it is I was a generous athlete. So I was always about if I can help you shine, then I'll shine. But it was
Mm.
also to keep you playing longer so that we could extend the game and I wouldn't have to return to the challenges I was facing as a kid. So I really was clever that way in making sure you were having a good time and you were engaged in the game because you would stay longer. So yeah,
Yeah.
sports and play really became a big, big part of my life.
All right. So I want to ask you now, like similar but different question, just about why play is so important to you now and the work that you do and why like promoting play for kids is so important to you.
I think, well, obviously from my backstory, I understand the power of play and what sports and play can do for you and give you a sense of belonging and connection and community through teams. But I also have witnessed it all over the world. So Aspen Project Play, among other organizations that I work with globally that use the power of sport to bring people together to solve big problems like social issues, gender issues, conflict issues, health issues. They use sports and play to bring people together, have a discussion about the big issue, and then let's go enjoy ourselves together. And
Mm.
so it's about rallying and convening people. I see the power of it. And so I just think for anyone that is looking at a ball, just know that we all speak ball. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, everybody recognizes a ball and what it represents. It represents movement, it represents joy, represents play, it represents fun. So yeah, so I think that's a big part of why I'm invested in the movement of a ball can save the world and a ball can change the world. And I've been invested in it for several decades now.
Mm. That's super cool because even thinking about it, like most sports do use a ball, and that's kind of weird, but also like it seems like it makes sense, you know? I love that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and it
that's one
doesn't
of the
matter where
things,
you go in
yeah.
the world,
Hmm.
right? You can go anywhere in the world. You might not speak the language, but if you speak ball, if you have a basketball and you travel anywhere in the world, people know what that is.
Yeah.
You can go to places where you don't speak the language at all, but what language you speak is ball. And you
Mm-hmm.
toss the ball to someone, they know what to do. They pass it back or they'll shoot it, right? Or a
Hmm.
soccer ball, there's a universal gesture, like, put your hands out and point to your feet, and people do it. And so I just think that's what's really beautiful. You don't have to have a proper language, there's a language associated with play.
Hmm. I love that, and I think that was something that was really cool for me personally, like, at the summit, just, like, being around so many people who had put so much effort and, like, work into youth sports, and knowing that now, like, that was an experience that I was having, in a way that has, like, changed my life, so I was just like, super appreciative of, like, watching all the panels and, like, all the people in the audience knowing that, like, this is something they cared about and they were all there because of that, and that was really cool.
And that your generation and generations behind you are going to benefit from
Mm.
those people being invested and believing in the power of sport.
Right, exactly. All right. So when did you decide that your story was worth sharing in the way that you share it now?
Ha! It was not me. It was Miss Lane, my best friend's
Uh,
mom, who kept basically badgering me and just lovingly shoving me towards writing a book. She kept saying, "You need to write a book. You need to write a book." I'm like, "Miss Lane, who's going to want to read that book?" And then she said to me one time, "Well, there's another you out there that needs to know it's
mm,
possible. You should write the book for that person." And then I went, "Bet. Okay, now I get it." Because
yeah.
I didn't want to write a book to be on best-selling list or anything like that. That wasn't important to me. But when she said that, oh, okay, I'm going to write the book for that person. But I said I'm going to make it a little different and make it engaging, right? And have
Yeah.
it be fun and have it be surprise and delight. And so I told Ms. Lane, I'm going to do a different book. She said, "Of course you're going to do a different book." And so my book idea got rejected by every publisher. They said it
Mm,
was over designed and too creative, and I had to self-publish it, and then it took off, and someone from ESPN got a copy, and they signed me to a book deal, and they helped publish my book. But that book has won 23 design awards. So if I had
wow.
listened
Yeah.
to publishers, it wouldn't have been that same impact. But I wanted it to reflect my energy and my creative energy and the way that I see the game and I see movement and play. So yeah,
Yeah.
my wife always says that little book that makes you linger. That's what she said. Everybody sees it. Oh,
Yeah.
this is a quick read, and then you find yourself like, wait, that page, you got to read it upside down, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what sparked me was Miss Lane.
Yeah. I remember like when you gave it to me at the summit, I was like, the first thing I did when I got it was like I felt the rubber ball on the outside, and you're like,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes. That's the test to see if you're like
yeah,
in. If you got the right mindset, you'll really appreciate it. It's like
yeah.
that rubber ball texture on it, right? It makes you.
Mm.
And I look to see if people rub that or not.
And
Oh,
I
I have one right
remember,
here. I have one
oh,
right
you
here.
do?
Yeah, here you go. So that's it right there.
You can see it, and I was like, oh my god, because it was like I read it on like waiting for because our flight got delayed on the way back from Colorado, and I read it, and it was amazing, and I was just after that, and I was like, I realized I'd packed my like school book for homework, and I was like, now this book just seems so boring. I'm like, what am I reading? Like, what is this?
It's like, why is this only black and white? Where are
I
the
know.
pull-out pages? Where's the
Yeah,
pages with different
exactly.
texture? Why aren't they doing that in these textbooks? Right?
No, I know. And then I saw like the quote on the back of the book is like Dr. Zeus for adults. And I was like, it's it's for like for kids too. Like I feel like it's so like and I learned so much from it, but it's also so interesting. Like you want to read it. Like I want to go read it again. And then like I'm gonna like my parents are gonna read it too. And it's just so like it looks fun to read, you know? Like
Oh, I
all
appreciate
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely. I think one of the things that's been really exciting about it is okay. So here, since you're gonna have video, so here's like one of the things that happens is the book pulls out and the pages. So there's like surprise little pages like that inside
Yeah.
the book, and I mean you don't usually find that in a book.
Mm,
Like that's not a typical thing that you find in a book. And I wanted it to be surprise and delight. I wanted it to surprise you. I wanted it to make you slow down at, oh, what's going to happen on this next page? So that you
mhm,
see, and then there's fold outs, right? Pages that fold out and stuff. So it was
mhm.
really
Yeah.
all intentional to make it be this really great experience for you when you're reading it.
Yeah. I know people say, like, don't judge a book by its cover, but I feel like sometimes, like, if a cover interests me, then I'm gonna check out the book. But, like, you know, because you don't want everything to always be in black and white, because obviously most books are built like
Yes.
that. So
Yes.
I think, like, that's what kind of intrigues me about most books. And I know, like, even I think why people say don't judge a book by its cover because it's all, like, what's on the inside that counts, but also, like, an appearance can tell you a lot about a book or someone too. So I think it's important to, like, do both, you know?
That's so great what you just said. The appearance can do both. And I wanted it to reflect me, my
Mm,
energy, the way I
yeah.
think, my creative thinking. And so I said, I can't just have a book that's black and white inside. That's not
Mm,
me. And so
Hmm.
that's what drove me to self-publish it, and then it ended up taking off and ESPN buying the rights to it and creating a whole new platform for reach and everything with it. So I think there's like a 500,000 in print now and
Oh
stuff
wow.
over the years and stuff. Yeah, so it's been really quite the surprise. And Miss Lane said, "See, I told you." So she said, "Look at all the other yous that are reading that book now."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's something that like this is like it's really exciting for me, but I actually am writing a book too. And
Mm.
yeah, and it's a picture book, so it's more for kids, lots of colors, of course. But one of the things that like it's always been really important to me is anti-bullying. Because that was something that like I like once I was bullied in like second grade. And so the publisher reached out and was like, we'd love for you to share your story. And I knew right away that like that's what I wanted the book to be about. Like and so I think that's it's like really cool for me. It's like incredibly humbling because like there's not many 12-year-olds that get to write a book. And I think it's super cool to know that, like you said, like they're going to be like little me's who read that book and think somebody who might be going through something like I went through and are like, oh, like I know what to do now. Like I can still like get through this. So I think that just kind of reminded me of that a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah,
so my
that's a
book's coming out soon, which is really
Oh,
exciting.
that's
So
wonderful. Yeah, make sure,
yeah.
let me know. I'll hype it. I'll be your hype, part of your hype squad. Yes, for sure. I'd love
Okay.
to
Thank
hype
you.
that. That's awesome. That's really, really special. Congratulations.
Thank you. All right. So I wanted to move into a little bit of some Father's Day questions. So first off, do you have any favorite memories as a dad?
Oh gosh, let's see. So many, but I can proudly say going to watch my sons play sports, they will always tell you that my dad has a very specific way he comes to the game and watches us play. And so I would always come, I would always say hello to the other parents, and then I would go up to the furthest area away in the stands or on the field or in a corner and just watch. So I wouldn't yell, I wouldn't scream, I would just watch, and I'd like to just enjoy my son playing the game. No instructions, nothing like that. No way to distract him or take away his energy and focus in the game. And then my son would always want to know, like, well, what did you think? What did you think? And I said, well, let's just get home or let's go get something to eat. So I would always wait to kind of give him feedback and everything. But what my son said is, Dad, all the parents started to understand your dad is so like calm and cool, and we're like yelling and screaming. And they said, well, my dad's been around a lot of sports and he knows that's not helping. So he would prefer not being a distraction to me. And so they always appreciated that I was that kind of a parent. And I never like shamed other parents or anything like, oh, do your
No.
thing. Like, but for me,
Yeah.
I like to watch the games and really take them in and enjoy that. And so I
Yeah.
can proudly say I never missed any of my son's middle school, my younger son's middle school, high school, or college games. I think he said I missed one or I was late because I was flying back like from Thailand after some work. But otherwise, I
Wow.
just always wanted to make sure that I was there to support them and never anything except just do your level best. Like I never
Mm,
said, you got to be great. You got to be, no, just do your level best because you could have a bad day, an off day, but you could still have a great result. And did you
mm,
contribute in some way? And so I think,
yeah.
the memories of watching them doing that was wonderful. But I think if there was a memory of sports, it was like my sons actually being able to come to work with me because I was an athletic trainer. So my boys
Yeah.
could be in the gym and they were ball boys with the Sixers, and I could see my boys while I was working. They actually could
Mm,
be there. So I think we got to spend a lot of time and have a lot of great memories through sports
mm.
together.
Yeah, that's really awesome. It reminds me of my dad a little bit because, like, before I was born, he was like a middle school girls basketball coach. So he's
Mm,
always had that sort of perspective for me. But it's never been like he didn't score this many points, he didn't have as many rebounds. It's always like whether or not I worked hard. And so like I think through that, I've never really like assessed myself based on whether we won or not, how many points I scored. It's always been like, well, did I really work hard? Did I make an impact, like stuff like that. And I think that's something I'm really grateful for because feeling pressure to like fill up a stat sheet is not this, it's then you don't get to have fun. So I think that's something that like I'm really grateful for. So I
yeah,
appreciate that. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I didn't know your dad was a coach. See, he
Yeah.
low keyed that on me. He didn't let me know that. So yes, Yes,
Yeah, and
I have heard your mom though in some of the
yes.
videos. Just so you know, yeah, which is fine, right? But I think that's
No,
lovely
yeah,
that you
yeah,
got both sides of it. You got the calm and your dad, and you got your mom, who's your hype
yeah.
squad. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I know, like, my dad is usually pretty chill, like, he'll talk to me maybe a little bit between games, but not during or anything, and I know the second I sit down in the car, that's when it starts, that's when the flips the switch. Um,
Yeah, because
yeah,
he's a
and
coach, though. He can't
yeah.
help himself. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of
yeah.
it. And so I
Yeah, and
think
I
that's
appreciate him always giving
yeah.
like yeah.
But I think he's grounded you in the right way of how to
Mm,
grow your game. Because I think that's what people get so fixated on stats and how many points, but how did you actually get better? And maybe, your dad says, "Hey, in this game, work on this. I want to see you box out better. I want to see
mm,
you run the floor better. I want to see you fill the lane better, right? And I'm going to grade you on that." And so now
yeah.
you've got something different to think about. The other things
Mm,
happen because you do those things.
right.
But yeah, so I think that's really wonderful that he gives you that
Mhm.
perspective and feedback.
Yeah, sometimes I am not as receiving as I would love to be, but I always appreciate it at some point.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
And also too, timing's everything when you're giving feedback, right? And so
yeah.
you might still be a little salty about a game or the competition, and so you got to have a cool down period before you start giving
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Alright, so the next question, I wanna ask you what it means to you to be a Black dad specifically.
It means the world to me. So I didn't have my father around. So my grandparents raised us, me and my brothers, and I made it, it's in your quiet moments, you kind of make a promise to yourself that I'll never be that way. I'm going to be as
Mm,
present as possible. And I made a decision to be a very present father. I did. And I think that intention and in me following up on it I could be most proud of. And so just being a presence in my boys' lives and modeling as best I can how to show up for your family. And I just, that's something that really has meant the world to me. And so, and not repeating history, I wanted to break the cycle of that. And so I hope that that's something that my boys appreciate is that I've always modeled that for them, that this is what a present father can be and how they behave and how they support and how they love you up. And I think that's been a big part of it for me. Yeah, it's just being present, being a very present father.
alright, I love that, and in addition to that, what advice do you have for any and all of the dads out there?
I always say to any parents, especially fathers, just be where your feet are.
Mm,
Be present. Just be present. Don't be on your phone. Don't be on calls. You know, you be there because those moments are precious and you'll realize how fast they go. Because you'll look up and your child's like a teenager. Then you look up and your child's going off to college. And like, where did the time go? And so I just really think my best advice is just be as present as possible. Be where your feet are. Don't be distracted by all those other things and really marvel at watching your child grow up
mm,
because there's something magical about seeing a child grow up and all the different things they're learning and trying and doing and failing at and failing forward and but the only way you can see that and observe that is you have to be present, so be where
mm.
your feet are.
Yeah, I love that. Alright, and my last question for you, my last question for everyone, is just what advice do you have for, the kids out there, especially, like, related to play and, like, being active and happy?
I love the notion of curiosity. I think if
Mm,
you just stay curious, Albert Einstein, who's like, brilliant, scientist, has a
yeah,
wonderful quote, right? I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. Be
mm,
passionately curious every single day and look at all the opportunities you have for discovery and wonder and possibilities. And look up every once in a while. All the answers aren't on a screen, there's a big screen called life. Right. And so, why don't you look up every once in a while and try to discover some things? And I think curiosity really will serve you well. And so stay
mm,
curious, be curious, and stay in that place of wonder where all these things really like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Oh my gosh, I never saw that before. Because when you were little, and Pepper, you can remember this, when you're like 3 and 4 and 5, you just, everything is amazing, right? You're
mm,
like, wow, wow. Don't ever stop being that way.
I
Always
love
stay
that.
curious like that. And I think that can really be a big help for everyone. Curiosity for the win.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I tell people this all the time. They're like, "How'd you get your start in, like, doing what you do now?" And I'm like, "I've just always been curious, and I always ask questions," you know? And especially, like, like I always say, like as an athlete, like playing sports, I watch professional sports, I watch the WNBA, and it made me curious, like how can I get there? What is it like for them? And that's really how I got to where I am now, which is crazy, but it's yeah, like you said, the power of curiosity. So
Power of curiosity. And I mean, we're already naturally doing that when we're kids because we're asking a lot of why questions. Why? But what we're doing is putting information on our hard drive, our brain,
mm,
right? We're storing information. So why not just stay that way about something that tickles your brain, that interests you, right? That maybe makes you laugh inside. Find those things and keep those things close. Like you said, the WNBA and basketball, and you were really like intrigued by it, and it probably tickled your brain. I always say that when something tickles your brain, you kind of tilt your head to the right or left, like, huh,
yeah.
right? And so find more of those things and keep those things close.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So just quickly, thank you so much for joining me. Happy Father's Day. And before we leave, just let the audience know where everybody can find you.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. And you can just at me at KC Catalyst, KCKATALYST.
All right, awesome. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for listening. You can find me on Instagram at Pepper Persley and on Twitter at Team Persley. And I hope you enjoyed and everybody have a great summer and a great Father's Day.
Take good care.